It's true. The pandemic has thrown us into a whole new world of fear, isolation, and uncertainty. We can all rail at the situation, the government, and the illness itself. And I'm sure we have all done that and will continue to do it to some extent. But we don't want to let it eat up our day and who we are. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. It may be a tidal wave that we can't stop. But if we are not dealing with significant health problems ourselves or with our family, we have to find a new way to deal with the isolation that the pandemic brings. We could watch TV, or we could read or watch movies, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. I have to do something else. When I moved from president, CEO of a business that I had founded in 1980, leaving the day to day operations to the CEO, I volunteered a whole lot and I traveled around the world several times. Then that got old and I started working remotely on a podcasting business. I now have 4 podcast shows and I'm starting into YouTube. The latest is this one, Coping with Crisis. Coping with Crisis guests have overcome significant struggles in their past. In this new upbeat and positive podcast, they share how the pandemic is affecting them personally and share specific guidance and invaluable tools for navigating this new world. It's kind of interesting because it isn't just older people passing along their wise wisdom. We are all older people because we all have experience in living life, the old life. And this is a new life for all of us. So when we say we're all in this together, that's true. So I thought, well, what can I share? And I thought about what I've learned about remote working and technology problems that really help me get things done. So these are my 5 tips on working remotely. Number 1, focus, focus, focus. It's very easy to distract yourself. People with kids are probably being distracted all day, but we can also be our own worst enemies. Getting up to get a cup of coffee or going into the other room to see what our friend or spouse is doing, or looking at our phone for the umpteenth time, etc., etc. You know what I mean. Number 2, do something you really enjoy doing. If you can kind of lose yourself in it, you're going to have less of a tendency to interrupt yourself. Number 3, keep a to-do list every day. I got these little notebooks at a podcast conference, and then I started getting them at other conferences, and they're great. I write the date at the top of the page, and then I make notes on what I want to get done that day, and then I check it off when it's done. I also make notes of things I don't want to forget as I go through the day. That's important because otherwise I have little notes everywhere. And I do love to check things off. Number 4, know your energy cycle and work with it. We all have an energy cycle. Draw a line across a page from 8 a.m. or whenever you start your day to 5 p.m. or whenever you end your day. Now draw your energy cycle throughout the day. My energy cycle and my energy level is really high in the morning. I'm often at my computer with a cup of coffee at about 6:30 a.m. But I also know that at 2:30 to 3 If I act on instinct alone, I will be standing at the refrigerator door looking for something, looking for something, and even I don't know what. And it's probably fattening. And I also know that by 6:30 or 7 p.m., my head stops working. And I just better go watch TV or play Spider or watch the Jack Ryan series on my iPad or read a book. Number 5, get dressed. I often don't do this right away, but sometime in the morning, I go take a shower, I put on my makeup, and I get dressed. It does help if I have a podcast scheduled for 9 a.m., then I'm more likely to do it earlier. But somehow, if I don't get dressed, my day just goes by and I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. But that's just me. You probably have your 5th thing that is just you. So figure out what it is and plan around it. Now let's talk about technology. There are so many free or small monthly charge programs out there that really do some neat things. It's just amazing and fascinating. There's probably many types of this type of program that I'm mentioning, but these are my favorites. Number 1 is Zoom. Zoom is like Skype or FaceTime. It's a program where people can see each other and interact. And best of all, for me, you can record your meeting. Of course, I use Zoom for podcasts and YouTube, but you can use it for anything, even watching your granddaughter dress her new dolls. It's a little daunting to find exactly how to do something you want to do, but there's a lot of site help. You just have to work through it. I still have one thing I haven't found, but I will figure it out. Most of the time, it's just a setting of some kind. Second thing is Trello. I have interviewed about 150 people so far on podcasts. I have to keep track of everything. I have to keep track of the podcast, their picture, their one-liner and description, their audio file, their social media quotes, etc. This is a great program for a team who needs to share information or for you organizing your work. It's got columns with cards underneath. So, for example, I have the podcast name at the top of the column, and then I have a card with all the information I talked about that is listed, or maybe I have some information that I have to link to on the card. Third one is Calendly. This is a program that interfaces with your own calendar, like Outlook. You provide the link to the person who wants to make an appointment with you, and then they can schedule it without ever speaking with you. No more back and forth. Are you available on Thursday? What about 1 o'clock? Who has time for that? And the fourth is consultants. These are a lifesaver for me in podcasting, but you could be one of them, depending on your talents and skills, and run a little business by yourself. Since they're through an online service, people don't need to bring them on as employees or worry about payroll taxes. So let me tell you a little bit about the ones I use. I use Upwork for consultants that do audio and video editing. I use Fiverr for consultants who write profiles. And then I use independent consultants who have businesses themselves for writing the one-liners and descriptions for the podcast or for handling social media. I use Acadium, which used to be called Gen M, for interns or apprentices who want experience in something technical like SEO or analytics or marketing. And if you really like their work, you can contract with them as a business or hire them afterwards. Most of them live all over the world. So if you have these skills, you could be one of them and make money without leaving your home. So really, the bottom line is we may have to retool ourselves. My friend Case Lane has a great website called readyentrepreneur.com. If you've been thinking about starting a business and you don't know where to start, then listen to her on this Coping with Crisis show. And you can also hear her life story on our Trailblazers Impact podcast show. The point is, don't wait until your bathrobe smells because you haven't gotten dressed for a week. Start thinking about what else you can do with your life. And then, if this lasts a whole lot longer than we thought it would, you're well on your way to a new life. We don't know where this is going, but we have to remember that someone else is always feeling like you are. We don't know what we don't know, but we'll find out. And we have to be ready to do what's necessary to survive.